was telling Pastor last weekend, I think it was, the doctors were funny. I was born premature. I was about 4 pounds, 6 ounces. I don't think I got much bigger since then. But I was born premature, and my mom would tell me, she said, well, the funny thing about it, they go in there, look at the incubator, and I inch my way up and down that incubator all day. So, listen, I'm just going to share with you.
Bless him all. Touch him all. Obey God, brother.
What God has laid on my heart to share with you. I'm going to cry. I'm going to get this out of me. This is the one thing I know. That if any man heard God, it was this man. If anybody has heard what God said to do as it relates to a call to ministry, it's this man. So come hell or high water, this man heard God. So no matter what we deal with, no matter what we put up with, no matter what happens from the time this ministry starts until Jesus returns, this man heard God. That I can attest to. Brought up in church all my life, been around church for a long time. Been around people trying to show me their money, people trying to show me their cars, pastors trying to show me how big the building is, trying to show me everything but God. This man ain't done nothing but show me God. I don't need to see the rest of it, amen. So I'm just encouraged and I'm honored to be given the opportunity to share with you today the things that God has laid on our hearts as it relates to this word. We're kind of pressed for time. Let's do the best that I can. If we run just a little bit late, please forgive me. But I'm going to try to share the things that God has laid on my heart to share with you this morning. Amen? Amen. So, if you would, if you have your Bibles, I want you to open your Bibles. And we're going to look at a passage of Scripture in 1 Kings, 18th chapter, beginning at the 41st verse. Say amen when you have it. It's 1 Kings, 18th chapter, beginning at verse 41. Hallelujah. I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited about what God's going to do in this place. Amen. I'm so excited about the season that we find ourselves in as it relates to the call and the purpose of the Lord's House Ministry. I'm so excited about our senior pastor and our first lady. I'm so excited to be under the leadership that we have. It's just a wonderful and an awesome and a blessed thing for us to be a part of. Amen. And God's going to do some amazing things. Amen. So I'm going to ask you to stand to your feet in honor of God, if you will. And we're just going to read this word, beginning at the 41st verse. It says, and Elijah said to Ahab, go eat and drink, for there is a sound of heavy rain.
Come on now.
So Ahab went off to eat and to drink. But Elijah climbed to the top of Clermont, bent down to the ground, and put his face between his knees. He says, go and look towards the sea, he told his servant. And he went up and looked. He says, there's nothing there, he said. 7 times Elijah said, go back. The 7th time, the servant reported, a cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea. So Elijah said, go and tell Ahab, hitch up your chariot, go down before the rain stops you. Meanwhile, the sky grew black, the clouds and the wind rose, and a heavy rain started falling, and Ahab rode off to Jezreel. The power of the Lord came upon Elijah, and he tucked in his cloak into his belt, and he ran down ahead of Ahab all the way to Jezreel. May the Lord add the blessing to the reading of his read word. And this is a passage of Scripture after they had been a drought. You can have your seats if you will. After they had been a drought in the land for a very long time, Elijah prayed, and he really needed to see a breakthrough. As a pastor, as a senior pastor of a church, it comes some time when you just really need to see a breakthrough. You really need to see some rain coming from somewhere, some kind of way. Because as you accept this call, there's a lot that you that you just got to put up with. A lot of people you got to put up with. A lot of attitudes, a lot of circumstances, a lot of situations. There's a lot that you got to go through. It's not easy to take on this responsibility. You know, people come up and they tell you, man, you ought to be preaching. Well, you ought to be praying and making sure that's what you ought to be telling me. Because there's a whole lot that goes along with that, amen? But Elijah was at this position, and he said that there was a sound of a heavy rain. The sound of a heavy rain, he said, okay? And see, here's the thing. I need you to understand this. See, he heard something. I need you to understand that he heard something. There was something that was paramount in what was going on. He had a need, and he needed to hear something in order for God to do what he had to do. Amen? So when you can hear God, you got to understand this. When you can hear God, your destiny is revealed. When you can hear God, your purpose is realized. When you can hear God, a church is established. When you can hear God, God's plan is unleashed. When you can hear God, your dreams take flight. When you can hear God, your call is set into motion. And when you can hear God, your ministry is birthed. So the title of today's message is simply, Hush, I'm trying to hear God. Okay? I need everything else to quiet down. I need my circumstances to quiet down. I need my finances to quiet down. The bank account just hollering at me. Every time I get ready to do something, you ain't got enough. You ain't got enough. I don't need all of that. Hush. I'm trying to hear God. Okay, because this is a call to ministry. Amen. And Lisa told me that the theme was that he was it, how did the thing go? Father, I don't have my program on me right now. Thank you. Follow, I will follow. Let me tell you something. You can't follow if you can't hear. Okay, you can't follow nothing if you can't hear. So I want you to understand a little bit of something this morning. We're going to get into this lesson, and in not many days hence, I'm going to be done with that, okay? But here's the deal. We've been born into a very, an interesting set of circumstances, amen? We as people, as mankind, we were formed from this earth, and we have a natural affinity to the things of this earth. You understand? God sees everything perfectly in the supernatural. God sees everything perfectly in the natural. Satan sees everything perfectly in the supernatural. Spirit realm. Satan sees everything perfectly in the natural. Mankind, formed in this earth, we are prone to only see in this realm. Everything makes sense to us in this realm. And that's why I said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, because this realm can't show you what I need you to see. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't want you to get mad at yourself for this little deficit that we have, but we just have to understand. We won't see the things of God. We won't see the call of God unless God speaks to us, unless we hear God. You got to understand something about God. You see, he said it like this. He said, faith comes by and hearing by what? So the thing is, for me, I can't see as it relates to God unless I can hear. God pays much more attention to what you can hear from him than what you can see. So he said that things that I see in the natural, they're just temporal. They ain't going to last for too long. They're going to pass away. But the things that are spiritual, those things are eternal. Amen? Because for him, it's hearing God that matters the most. It's not what I see. We walk by what? Faith and not by sight. I don't need to see everything that God called me to do. I need to hear what God said. I need to hear what God said. Amen. You know, they got this thing. They got this. They got the GPS, the global navigating system. Okay, but I need a God navigating system. I need another kind of GPS. I need God's navigating system to get me through what I need to see. Amen. So I need you to understand that we need to hear God, and that's exactly what Elijah found himself. The situation that he found himself in. He was in a position where he really needed to hear what God was saying. Amen. I'm going to get through this and we're going to be done in just a little bit. But I'll let you know when I'm finished. Amen. So then the Bible says, he says, go eat and drink. But there's a sound of a heavy rain. He didn't even, it wasn't even sprinkled. He said it's a sound of a heavy rain. I don't need to see the rain. I need to hear God say that it's going to rain. If I can just hear God say that it's going to rain, then it's going to rain. You see, because he said he spoke this world into existence. What he says is simply enough. I don't need no more than that. If he tells me that this is going to happen, then it's going to happen. And it's going to be just like he said it was going to happen. So there's no point in me worrying about it. I don't have to toil over it. I don't have to lose no sleep over it. I just need to hear him say it. Kind of like my father. I mean, in the natural sense, my dad, he's a great man. He raised me. He did the best that he could with me. And here's the thing I tell people about my father. My dad he's a man of very few words, okay? By the time he's saying that something, you better show enough be listening to what he's saying. Because the whole time he's just going to be evaluating. He's just going to be evaluating and looking at it, but by the time he get ready to say something, you better listen to what he had to say. And here's the thing. If my father told me, not that I have ever seen it in anywhere, if my father told me I'll have $1 million for you tomorrow, I can depend on what he said. That's just in the natural sense. I don't mean to put him up on a pedestal or anything that I shouldn't do, but the Bible does say give honor, respect, honor is due. And honor that father and that mother. And here's the thing, though. If he told me that, I believe it because that's just how he is. He just don't say nothing that he don't mean. He don't tell me nothing that he ain't going to stand behind. And he's not a perfect person, but I'm just trying to make that relation even in the natural sense that what he said to me, I can depend on him doing exactly what he said he's going to do. This man reminds me of that in that very same regard. What he says, I'm sure he's going to do it. What he says, I'm sure he meant it. He chooses his words. He's not just throwing them out there just to be throwing them out there. They mean a little bit. So they got some weight to them. If I put it out there, I need to stand behind it. And see, I have to respect a man like that. If he put them words out there, then he's going to stand behind those words. And that's what we have in a senior pastor. And I just, throughout, I'm going to teach this message, but I'm going to have to draw the correlation between this message and this man that we serve, that God has placed over this house. And I'm going to have to do that. And you can be mad at me if you want to, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, you can see me out in the parking lot afterwards if you need to. Amen? Okay, so here's the deal. He says that in order to follow, you're going to have to hear God. So Elijah heard a sound. And the rain, he told the servant, he said, I want you to go out there and I want you to look. Okay? So he sends the servant out, but first he tells, let me go back. Let me get ahead of myself here. Verse 42 says, so Ahab went off to eat and drink. Elijah sends him off to go ahead and eat and drink. But Elijah climbed to the top of Clermont and bent down to pray. Okay? As a senior pastor, as any person called to do what God has purposed him to do, you can't do what everybody else gets to do. Okay? He sent one out, go eat. Go get something to eat, get yourself something to drink, take your time, take your shoes off, rest, do whatever you got to do. But I can't do that. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm telling you I can't do it. I've got to go here and pray. I've got to go try to hear God. And whenever I want you to understand this. It's not just those that are called to ministry on that level. Whatever the purpose is, whatever the call is for your life, once you done heard God tell you this is what I want you to do, it's some stuff you're going to have to cut out. It's some stuff that you ain't going to be able to do. Because that's your call. That's the purpose that God has for your life. And if you don't hear him for the call for your life, what Elijah was doing, he had a situation where he was going to pray and do what God called him to do, and the rain was going to come for that season, for that situation that was going on. So for every season and every situation in our lives, we have to hear God the same way. So it doesn't matter whether or not you're preaching this word or whether you're working at the Quickie Mart. Whatever God done told you to do, you got to hear God in order to walk in that abundant life that he's purposed for you. Okay? And if you miss out on hearing him, that's your own fault. And that is your blessing. It is your abundance. It is the rain that's coming in your life. It is what you hear that God tells you to do. And let me tell you this. Pastor, I'm trying to stick with it, but it's hard to do. Okay, let me show you. Here's the deal. We think God gonna bless us based on what God does. A blessing don't never follow. The power of God in our lives, I need you to understand it. The power comes to enable you. The power don't come to bless you. You ain't going to never be blessed by God's power. The power God gives you is to enable you to do what he called you to do. When you are enabled, then you can walk in obedience. The blessing follows your obedience. Do you understand? I'm not going to be blessed unless I can walk in obedience to what God called me to do. So here's what he said. I will enable you. I'll give you my power to do it. All you got to do is accept and do, and then the blessing follows your obedience. You see what I'm saying? So there's this thing where, I got to hear him. I need to hear him in order to do what God has purposed for me to do. Amen? And so you got to understand that hearing is the utmost important thing as it relates to God. In the natural sense, I don't need to see nothing. Pastor, I can just close my eyes and hear my way to the blessing. There's something getting in the way right here that I can just get around that thing. And I got to just keep hearing God until I get to where God wants me to be. And there's something over there, but I don't need to see it so much. I need to hear it tell me what to do. If I can just hear God, then I can get to where God purposed for me to be. If I can hear God, if I can just hear God, you get to the place where you stop looking at stuff that don't work out.
All right.
When somebody come up to you with an attitude, and you really didn't expect them to take it that way, it's really not what you meant when you said what you said, it doesn't matter so much because you realize that this stuff is just temporal. It don't matter. It really don't matter. If I can hear what God said, by and by after a while, one way or another, that thing gonna work out for God's glory. Amen? So make it the priority that we stay in His Word, that we will be able to hear what He says. Amen? So Elijah couldn't do what everybody else had to do. It took sacrifice. Okay? It takes hearing God. It takes responsibility. It takes understanding that I've been called to do something and that I've got to move forward in this thing. Amen? And that's the only way that it takes persistence. He sent him out there and said, go look again. And the servant had to go out there 7 times. 7 times to go try to see what it was, Elijah thought he heard. Sent him out there 7 times. Now, he didn't give up not one time. And so he sat up on there with him, and look at Elijah. It's a wonderful thing. The Bible says he put his head between his knees. That's right. You know, do you know what kind of peace it's got to take to try to get to that point to where, look, I'm going to hear it sooner or later. It's raining and it's coming and I ain't got to see it. I'm not trying to look at what's in my circumstance, my outward. None of that stuff matters. I'm trying to hear God. And so he prays and he sends him out there again. He says, go look again. Go look again. You know, we get people in the church, after you told them a couple times, well, Pastor, this ain't working. This ain't working. I didn't try it. And I knew it wasn't working in the first place. That's how we do it. I knew it wasn't working in the first place. I thought you should have done something different. But it's not our responsibility to try to figure out what God had told him to do. Every person that's sent to this body is sent to this body to do their part to do what God has called us to do. Amen. Amen. God is the best economist that we ever gonna know. Amen. He says if you do 10%, I promise you I can take care of the whole business of the church. Okay? Listen, I promise you, 10%, he can take care of the whole thing if it happened all the time for all of us. Okay? And he said that when you do your part, and it's not just money, whatever God has gifted you to do, whatever it is you know how to do, bring it to the house of God. Bringing those things to the house of God, even at 10%. Even at 10% of your gifting, even at 10% of your call, even at 10% of it, it would do what God has purposed this house to do. Okay, now, he didn't send him out here with a bad plan. He sent him out here with a good plan. He sent Pastor Harris here to run this church and to do what God had purposed for it to do. And then he sent you here and me here to help to get that accomplished. Amen? So this is not completely his responsibility. It is his responsibility to hear God. Our responsibility to trust that it is God. Listen, it ain't on my shoulders if it don't work out. I'm telling you, it ain't on my shoulders if it don't work out. It's on his shoulders. So every time he says, this is what I heard God say do, then that's what I try to do. Why? Ain't my responsibility. Now, when you come over to what I've been called to do, then I would ask that you do what I'm requesting of you. Because this is the place where God has ordained me to be. All right? But yeah, he didn't come up here and try to tell me how to play no keyboard. Okay? He didn't come up here and do none of that. But as for the business of this church, what he says, that's what I got to do. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so Elijah sends him out there and told him, go back again, look again. 7 times. Look, I just got to keep telling you. Go out, look again. It doesn't matter if you don't see it yet. Just keep looking because it says, I know what I heard. There comes a time in your life as a pastor when you're going through that you just got to simply say, I know what I heard. Yeah. Whether it looked like that's what's going to happen or not, I know what I heard. Okay? Now, I wasn't here when this ministry started. Okay? But I can see the fruit of this ministry right now. Okay? Haven't been here the whole, I think it's been a 10-year, right? 10 years or so? 7 years, okay? 7 years that this ministry has been birthed. I could not imagine walking into a place not knowing whether or not you got enough people to fill it, not having lights on in the place to determine, what you're dealing with, how you gonna cover the rent every month for this building, how you gonna pray for these people and find the time to do it when you're still working a job. How are you going to make sure that you're walking in love and hope these knuckleheads walking behind you going to do the same thing? I'm serious. I hope I didn't offend nobody, but I'm serious. I'm serious because we don't know. You get out here and you have a job. Y'all think about it for a minute. We out here, you're a pastor. You out here, you got the job of leading God's people, much like what Moses had to deal with. And you don't know how the people are going to take it. You don't know if they want to listen. You don't know if they're going to think you're crazy. And everybody got an opinion, but don't nobody want to take responsibility. I can tell you what you need to do. Okay? I can tell you what you need to do. But don't nobody want to take responsibility of that call. Because somebody going to call 3 o'clock in the morning. They need prayer. Somebody going to call, because such and such got to be paid or these doors ain't going to come open. Listen, I'm going to tell you, the man needs prayer. He needs prayer. We need prayer. This ministry needs prayer. What God has called these people to do, we can't do it unless we're Him, and we can't do it alone. We need one another, and we need God. Amen? So he sends the servant back out. And he goes 7 times. And after the 7th time, the Bible says in verse 44, he says, that the servant reported, well, a cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea. Yeah. Despise not small beginnings. It don't matter if you just have 3 people coming to Him when you start this thing up. Don't worry about that. Just know that you heard God, and just know that you got to push forward. Just know that when He's purposed for this ministry, that He's going to bring it to pass. And it's not your responsibility to bring it to pass. It's only your responsibility to be obedient to what He called you to do. And as you do it, God will be glorified. And He'll do what God does, which is come through all the time. Amen. Amen. So he said, I see a cloud. And it's about as small as a man's hand. And look at Elijah said this. Said, go tell Ahab to hitch up the chariots. Because see, that's all I need to see. If I'm going to see anything, that's all I need to see. Just a cloud. Just off in the distance. And he hadn't rained in years. Okay? Off in the distance. Just a small cloud. And what did he do at that point? So he sent him. He said, and so Elijah said, go tell Ahab. He says, hitch up that chariot. And go down before the rain stops you. Yeah. See, now that's speaking of faith. Amen. See, every time you get a pastor in a position, and you got to be in a position of what God has called you to do, you got to speak in some faith. Yeah. So he said, a small cloud. Yeah. There wasn't no reason for him to think it was going to rain, Bruce. Not really, no reason for him to think so. Because it was a small cloud, had rain in it. Yeah. Okay, so he says, go hitch up the chariot and run down the hill because the rain coming. Yeah. I know the rain coming. Yeah. Because all I had to see was a small cloud, and I know what I heard. Yeah. See, you don't have to see so much when you know what you heard. Yeah. If you can hear God, then what you see really, it becomes minuscule. Yeah. It's just not all that important what I see because I know what I heard. Amen. Yeah. And so he said, hitch up that chariot. And so he went down the hill, and he says, go down before the rain stops you. Because he said, soon enough, it's going to be raining so hard that you're going to have a hard time getting where you're trying to go. Yeah. And so this is how much that he believed. In verse 45 it says, meanwhile, the sky grew black with clouds. Meanwhile, the sky grew black with clouds. Yeah. Meanwhile, think about it. Tell your neighbor, meanwhile. See, God does in the midst of you doing it. Come on, I wish I could get you over there. I need 2 or 3 people know what I'm talking about. God does in the midst of you doing it. That's right. Meanwhile, they hitching up the chariot. Yeah. This is in the meanwhile. This ain't seen rain yet. I ain't seen rain yet. I don't see 3 campuses for this church yet. I don't see 700, 800 people in this church yet. Not yet. But you see, right now I'm in the meanwhile. Right now I'm in the meanwhile. See, I'm just working through this right now. Because see, this thing is coming. I know what I heard. And so in the meanwhile, I'm going to keep on coming in here Sunday after Sunday. Life group after life group. And I'm going to keep on doing what I need to be doing. And I'm going to keep on coming up with messages. Message after message. And when it seems like you don't hear it, I'm going to preach it again. And when it seems like you ain't going to do it, I'm going to tell you again. But I'm going to keep on doing it. And in the meanwhile, God going to be working it out. Amen. And in the meanwhile, that rain going to keep on coming. And after a while, y'all going to have to be over here with some umbrellas. Oh God, there's a whole lot of rain. Oh God, there's a whole lot of blessing going on. Oh God, I didn't see all of this was going to happen at the time that it did. Because see, I was just working it out in the meanwhile. I didn't need to see everything. So So they hitched it up, and they went to running down that hill trying to get to where they were going. Okay, and so he says in his word, verse 46 says, the power of the Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, after the meanwhile, the power of the Lord will come upon you.
Yeah.
And the word says that the power of the Lord came on Elijah.
Yeah.
And he tucked in his cloak into his belt and ran down the hill.
Yeah.
It ran down the hill ahead of.
Yeah.
Y'all got to understand this.
Yeah.
The power came on so much and so that the brother outran a horse and chariot down the hill. I need you to understand that. You couldn't outrun a horse and chariot on flat ground. This brother did it going down the hill. Okay? Down the hill, the power of the Lord came upon him to get to where God had purposed for him to be. And it all started not with what I saw, but with what I heard. You got to understand where we are. We were born into this situation where everything for us is tangible. But you got to get out of that mindset. You're not going to get what God wants you to be thinking tangible. It's not stuff that you can touch. It's what we hear God say. It's not everything that I can put my hands on. It's not everything that I already know how to do. It's not everything that I have the resources for to accomplish.